Yeah, I don't think Bryce is the measure of a model senator either.
Yeah, don't play this. I don't have a name. I should. I don't. Therefore, I can. Everyone else is like, I was invited for this one. And then I thought, it's not exciting. There's no pressure.
I now call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association Student Senate to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, November 9th, 2023, with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations: the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. With that, Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will take it away with our first roll call.
All right. Atchison.
Here.
Bellamy.
Here.
Biggs.
Here.
Blood. Broughton.
Here.
Bruckner.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Compton.
Here.
Cuesta.
Present.
Cup.
Here.
Dennis. Drotz.
Here.
Dunce. Fogel. Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Here.
Haynes.
Here.
Hartzell. Heatherman. Hoffmans.
Here.
Hulse.
Here.
Hunley.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Kirchen. Kidd. Kermer. Kenzie. Lilly. Long.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Mason,
Here.
Melcher,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
O'Malley,
Here.
Oury, Pelton, Peterson,
Here by proxy.
Porter,
Here.
Rios, Rivard,
Here.
Rodriguez Melendez, Rogers, Syed Carly, Syed Nick,
Here.
Salmon, Streetman,
Here.
Strunk,
Here.
Sushanik,
Here.
West,
Here.
Winger, Wolf,
Here.
and Zacko. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Brady. We'll now move into our first open period. First up, we have Jared.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jared Wassinger. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Manhattan. Has anyone seen Parks and Rec TV show? Okay, so Chris Traeger is the city manager in that show. Ben Wyatt was the Assistant City Manager for a time until he had to resign in disgrace. So I've been with the city for a little over 8 years. I'm a K-State grad. I got my undergrad from K-State in 2014 in political science and public relations. And then I went to get my master's in the public administration area and political science in 2016. Started out as an intern in HR, and then I was an intern in the city manager's office. After I got my MPA, I became a management assistant and then the assistant to the city manager. Now that's an office reference, like the assistant to the regional manager, but I was the assistant to the city manager for some time. Now I'm the assistant city manager. City of Manhattan is an interesting local form of government. It can be similar to maybe some of your hometowns, but a lot of people, when they think of city government, they think of a directly elected mayor who kind of oversees the city. That's not how the form of government in Manhattan is. We have a council manager form of government. We just had a local election last Tuesday where we elected 4 new city commissioners. Typically, we're electing 3 every 2 years. But we had one of our city commissioners resign and take a state senate position in the legislature, so we had 4 open spots. But generally, every 2 years, there's 3 spots open on the city commission. The top 2 vote getters get a 4-year term, and then the bottom vote getter gets a 2-year term, and then there's that rotation. And then every year, that group of 5 individuals, they just kind of pick someone to be the mayor, and they reside over the meetings, and they really have no other power other than they're just one of 5 votes. They kind of become a figurehead for the community too, and go to ribbon cuttings and do proclamations and things like that. But the job of the city commission is to appoint one person and hire a city manager, and that's Ron Fear. He's been the city manager for well over 20 years, which is pretty uncommon. In the city management industry, the average is like 5 to 7 years, because if 3 of the 5 don't like you, they can fire you in any given year. But Ron's been able to work with those city commissioners, build relationships over the years, and keep that job. So we have Ron, who is the city manager, and then he is in charge of the day-to-day operations of the city of Manhattan. We have your typical departments that you could think of, our fire department, parks and recreation. We have public works, which deals with all of our streets, roads, traffic, everything that you don't see underground, our water, sewer, stormwater, those utilities. And then we have just typical functions of most organizations, like a HR department, finance, and then we have a city attorney's office too. And then community development is a big thing. A lot of the things that you're seeing in our community are planned with thoughtful approach, feedback from the community, engagement from residents. A good example of that is Aggieville and things going on in Aggieville. That started long before some of you may have got here. We started a planning process in 2016 to create a vision for Aggieville, because a lot of the public infrastructure hadn't been touched in over 40 years. And a lot of that came to fruition in funding considerations and design. And then it's led to some of the things that you're seeing with the streetscape improvements and then the private development that's occurring. So we have, within our office, a deputy city manager, and he kind of serves as the supervisor for all of our department heads. And then we have 2 assistants. I supervise our IT division, our city clerk. We have a new parking services division. If you've ever parked in the parking garage in Aggieville, I now supervise the parking services manager. as well as our PIO to kind of increase communications to the public. But a lot has been going on in Manhattan over the last couple of years and the time that I've been here. A lot of big projects. One of the ones that I was kind of most proud of leading was our strategic plan that we went through in 2021. We're an organization of over 400, almost 500 full-time employees, and then a couple 300 to 400 seasonal employees to our Parks and Recreation Association. So we're a pretty big organization compared to some, but we had never done, an internal and external strategic planning process with our community. So that was something really cool I got to lead. Back in 2021, we had a steering committee of community residents. We actually had some folks from SGA serve on that. We did a lot of engagement to see, what was our vision for Manhattan? What is our mission as an organization? So we created, for the first time ever, a mission statement for our organization, and that was to put the well-being of people at the heart of everything we do, so we as staff can move the community forward in many different ways. And we adopted a vision statement trying to look out, what do we want to be in 10 years? And that was really centered around Manhattan being a hub of opportunity for all people. And then we focused on some goal areas. One of the main goals was a well-run city, and that starts with the internal part of the organization. A lot of people, when they think of local government, they think of the pothole that they might have hit on the way to class or to work, or a construction project going on, or maybe if you're a family or a household, the Parks and Recreation program that you're participating in. But there's so much more that goes into that with our people that we work with on a day-to-day basis. So we are focusing on really modernizing our organization. That was a big thing. And then connecting with our residents there. Other goals related to some of the things that maybe you're more familiar with. Infrastructure, a strong network of infrastructure. One of the departments I didn't mention was the Manhattan Regional Airport, where we had a big effort to redo our runway. Hadn't done that in over 50 years. And some of you who are looking for flights maybe for some games weren't able to fly out of here over the summer, but we had a little delay, but we got that open here in September. But yeah, I'm really open to answer any questions that you may have of the city, my position, our form of government, or really anything you're interested in.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the speaker? Chair Long.
Thanks for coming out tonight. Do you know the current status of the, I think it was called Manhattan Midtown project by BHS Construction, just south of Morrow, Aggieville?
Yep, they actually, so that's Back Nine Development. TJ Volkanskis, he's the head of that company. Some other familiar projects, maybe you're familiar with, like the Avenue M and the 11B, I think, or some of those bigger structures that he's built near Aggieville. He started his company kind of Back Nine Development, building homes out in Colbert Hills, is my understanding. But yeah, so if y'all remember that parking lot that we had south of Kites, we did an RFP for the public, open to the public, for anyone who was interested in acquiring that property and developing on it. I'm going to go back a couple of years just to kind of educate. In 2019 and 20, we established a TIF district, a tax increment finance district. And essentially, it freezes the property tax level that's there now, and then any increment that's developed in Aggieville, those increments in property taxes go into paying for the parking garage, the streetscape improvements that you're seeing. So TJ, proposed that Midtown development, and we had a development agreement with him that he needed to build a minimum of $40 million property on that. And if he didn't in a certain time frame, he would have to pay the city back for the property, which was valued at about $2.3 million. So he did put that project on hold, but he came back and gave a proposal to the city commission a couple months ago with that development starting back up again. But he also owns what's called the Handy Corner, which is right across the street where like Green Tea Sushi is. And he wants to build a hotel there and a parking garage. And he came back to the city commission looking for some of that increment on that property, the hotel, to help pay for some of that. And he's looking to provide public parking within that as well for the district. So that's kind of a short synopsis, but he's hoping to get all that approved and come back to the city commission with another development agreement, and that'll probably kick off in the spring or summer of 2024.
Awesome. Coordinator Navarro.
Yeah, thank you for speaking, by the way. I had a question about your strategic plan that you guys developed. Was there any mention towards developing environmentally sustainable infrastructure?
Sustainability was a common theme that so originally when I said we had 5 goals in there, originally we had 7, and sustainability, green infrastructure was something that was a common thread across our community, across our departments. So yes, it wasn't one of our goals, but we actually wanted to make sure that that was a theme that's noted. So that strategic plan has over 47 action items, and about 13 of them have a sustainability effort. Flooding mitigation is one of the key things there that we are looking to address. If you're familiar with the things along the Kansas River and the Blue River, as well as Wildcat Creek. So definitely a focus on sustainability. Green infrastructure, I don't think was necessarily a specific approach of that, but one of the things that did come of it was there's an action item that we haven't started yet, but specifically to create kind of a green infrastructure and sustainability task force that can start bringing in community resources and identifying some of those areas that we can improve.
Thank you.
Senator Bellamy.
Just going back to the back 9 thing, is there a projected date when that will be done, or do we know like a very last, like the latest possible time that can be finished?
They're projecting 2 years for their project. They want to start both projects at the same time for just the scale of costs and construction. So if that did start in the summer of 2024, they're estimating it's going to take 2 years for that to be open, so 2026. We're about kind of halfway through the Aggieville vision. North Manhattan Avenue opened. We've worked on Laramie Street and 14th where the parking garage is. When Midtown and that hotel are going up, that is, we're going to be doing Laramie Street there and that streetscape infrastructure, as well as 12th Street. And it will kind of give a similar feel to 12th Street that we did by Takalucha and Tanner's, where we're eliminating some of that on-street parking so we can widen the sidewalks and have more pedestrian amenities. And then the big behemoth is Morrow Street, what we're going to do and what that's going to look like. There's a lot of opinions on where that could go and a lot of vision, so we'll probably do that one last. And that's going to be the most impactful for businesses.
Time for questions has expired.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you all.
Next up for first open period, we have Gabe Roberts.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Gabe Roberts, and I'm the Student Finance Director. So in my position, we really look to find ways to make college more affordable for students, but also to help their financial well-being, both in and to prepare for their well-being out of college. One of the best programs that we have at K-State for doing this is Financial Futures. And so here I have Stacy Lewillier. This is a great program that really teaches students how to be successful. It's one of the biggest initiatives they have is to introduce curriculum into the classroom across campus, not just in financial degrees such as PFP or finance in the College of Business, but all around. And so really, I look forward to this presentation, and Stacy Lewillier.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, and I have a Vanna White and everything for my presentation. Great. So I just nod at you when it's time. Is that how we do this? Okay, perfect. All right, well, welcome. Tonight, I'm glad to be here, and I will tell you, I know we're limited on time, so I kind of will cut to the chase. Little history lesson. Prior to coming to K-State, I actually worked as a financial planner for about 15 years. And in that process, I worked with individuals to help them to be able to do investments and try to kind of plan for their financial future. But probably about 80% of the time, I found that my clients lacked just basic financial literacy. And the majority of that time I spent backtracking, helping to provide a foundation of information so that they felt more comfortable in the decisions that they were making. So spring forward into 2011, when I first joined at K-State, they recruited me, and one of the first things that I said was, if you want me to teach for you, I have to be able to integrate a financial literacy segment in my courses. And they agreed. And so since I've been here, since 2011, I actually have integrated a full week concept that I do for every single class that I teach at the entry level. And what that's enabled me to do is be able to kind of give a touch point to students to allow them to have a foundation of information and then begin the process of building upon that information. So on campus, they found out that I'd been doing this and that I was kind of a champion for some of the financial literacy programs. And we recently had a donor that provided us $1.2 million because he felt it was incredibly important for our students to have financial literacy so they could have some financial well-being and eventually some financial freedom. And that's really what the goal of this program is. So it is a campus-wide initiative. And because I'm in the College of Business and I'm also partnering with the Health and Human Science program, which is our personal financial planning, they both are working with us along with PowerCat Financial, which RJ, he's in here, but I didn't see.
He's ill tonight.
Oh, okay. So he has already been a part of giving you some insight into PowerCat. So I'm going to tell you how it all works. And then I'm going to also mention how maybe you can be instrumental in helping us make this happen, because this is going to benefit all of us. So what you see in front of you is our why. And so this literally is the money concerns that we have, the stresses that we have. And many times that becomes a distraction, not only here in an academic setting, but moving forward. And not having a foundation of that information can be detrimental. One of the things that I noticed when I first came here, an observation that I made, is that we teach our students how to earn a living, how to make that money, but we neglect to teach them what to do with it. And so to make it a full package, we got to give you the full deal. So what we've been doing, and if you would please, is implementing this under the financial wellness program. So you've probably seen some bits and pieces of financial wellness that has been a part of things, where people have been learning a little bit more about like the mental health component and other types of like academic resources. But this is that piece that is truly to help you with your financial future. And so what we'll be doing, if you would, we're just going to kind of go through this quickly. But this is kind of our mission statement, what we represent, what we're hoping to accomplish. It is a very comprehensive approach to financial well-being, and this is for all students, and that's the key. Just because we're kind of housing some of this in the College of Business, just because of my passions and also the passions of personal financial planning, we're hoping to develop champions in every college so that we can create a partnership and bring some of this information and be able to speak those same languages. So if you would. So notice this is kind of how it's all put together. If you notice in the middle, this is the financial future leadership team that's kind of instrumental in all these different facets. I function as a faculty consultant. So I'm a person that has the know-how and the knowledge to be able to go into different programs and provide them some insight as to how they can integrate this. So we've already been into programs like we went over and spoke with Vet Med. And we talked to them about what are you already doing and how can we help you in any resource that we can provide. And we have found some amazing things that certain programs are doing. Vet Med is one that is literally doing a sequential program where they're hitting them on the first year with a little topic that's relevant to them first year. And then they're giving them another topic the next year that's a little more relevant as they progress through their program of study. So in the College of Business, currently we are mimicking that program. We've already created an instrumental process of having a first-year program for what we call GEMBA 105, which is a general business course. All students that take that course will now be subjected to a financial literacy component. And we're going to not only teach them how to market themselves in the workforce, but also once they get there, what to do with that financial scenario that they encounter. How do they begin the process of knowing how to spend their money? How do you sign up for a 401k plan? What is a 401k plan? And a lot of those different topics. We're also going to use the resources for PowerCat Financial as a nice little supplemental resource to partner with us. So we are like a team like no other, but we need your help. So let me share with you a little bit about kind of what our goals are. So our goals are to implement the 4-credit space. We want to be able to get into the classroom space and eventually be able to be integrated within every program on campus in one capacity or another. So we have the ability to ensure that we're having a touch point with every student on this campus. Imagine if you could have a point where you have that financial literacy, that you have that capacity for the financial freedom and the financial security to enable you to be in a position where you know what to do next. And that isn't something that we do at the very end. Many of these topics are things that you need to know from the very beginning, such as building your credit score. Do you know that when I graduated, I had no idea that to get my position as a financial planner, that they were going to do a credit check? And I went, wait, what? And I didn't even know what that was. And I thought to myself, oh gosh, I hope that turns out good. And so fortunately it did. But those are things that no one told me and explained to me, and it could affect my financial future. So if you would, here's kind of what we've had touch points already. These numbers are a little bit outdated just because we're currently compiling new numbers, but we're closer to that 4,000 mark. This is astronomical what we've been able to accomplish in such a short time. And this isn't something that we're pushing off on students. This is something that students are asking from us. When we give them just a little bit of nugget and we demystify the financial literacy piece and we normalize it for them and make it appear just a little less intimidating, then we can provide an environment where these students now seek that information. Please tell me more. So if you notice here, we've included a variety of different groups. Not only are we doing the 4-credit space, but then once we have an opportunity to visit with them in the 4-credit space, we're dabbling and giving them that extra resource with PowerCap Financial. PowerCap Financial has those professional resources to supplement the information we're providing, and we're continuing to allow this to grow beyond this. So if you would, next slide. Here's kind of some of the things that we've currently done. So we've been working with the College of Agriculture, so some of these may be affiliated with your programs. We've also been working with Health and Human Sciences. We've worked with Vet Med. We've already dabbled in a little bit with Arts and Sciences and Architecture as well. But our goal is to try to develop something we can pilot, which we've already done that in the College of Business, and hopefully going to be able to go in and help other colleges be able to implement this as well. We also have some opportunities for us to get in other spaces. We've had conversations with graduate school. College of Education is one that we're currently also having conversations with. The International Student Program as well is asking for some assistance in that area. And then other colleges, bits and pieces of conversations. But we're trying to kind of create an environment where everybody's having this conversation with us so we can tailor something that works best for you. In the process of us doing this, we're also having some peer-to-peer initiatives, and a lot of this is being done by PowerCap Financial, going in and doing some presentations for like some of our sororities and fraternities, also with you guys and the presentations, K-State First, and even student athletics. So they're touching those spaces, and we're in the in-class space. They're planning to, go ahead if you would, the next slide, to go in and provide other opportunities. So now we're trying to figure out a way to get in with admissions, so this can just be part of what they do. So they come in and understand that this is the culture of K-State. This is how we operate, and we want financial literacy to be something that's so vitally important so that students know how to be able to, prepare themselves for what's next. And so as you can see here, student employees, that's another piece. We feel like they're one of us. And so we need to make sure that they kind of have an opportunity to kind of know from the best and have that opportunity to kind of network and make those connections internally. And then other student organizations beyond some of those that we've already visited with. And so in doing this, really truly our goal is to find ways that we can be able to implement this program throughout the university and give a chance to be able to kind of slowly collect what I like to call our buffet of resources. So if we go in and a college says, hey, listen, we don't even know where to start, we can be like, well, hey, here's our buffet. Here's some of the things that we've done. Do any of these kind of appear to be aligned with where you hope to go in your program of study? And then if by chance, kind of like it works for a buffet, if by chance that buffet doesn't define what it is that those people are looking for, maybe we can cook you something back in the kitchen. And we can kind of customize that for you. And so we've seen some of those programs that are just like, man, I just don't even know where to begin to provide that financial literacy piece. It's just not my realm. So would you be able to help me do this? And then I can kind of speak the language of that particular topic area. And so we're doing that like with Vet Med. I'm one of the individuals we met with.
Speaker's time has expired.
Oh, do I stop then? Okay.
Yeah, Senator Glasscock,
I move to extend speaker's time by 2 minutes.
Second.
you have 2 more minutes.
Perfect, thank you. But in meeting with them, as I mentioned, they've already indicated he's an internal surgeon in Vet Med, and he's like, that's what I want to focus on. But I still know that our students need this. So how can we provide an opportunity for our students to have that piece and bring in the know-how from those that may be a little bit more expert in that area? So my ask of you is help us do this. Help us find a way to create the pathways and the programs that you're affiliated with. Help us be able to determine where's the best sequence. We want to be efficient with this. We don't want a lot of duplications where you're seeing the same speakers over and over. We want to have it be a sequence that makes sense, things that are appropriate for first-year students, second year, and beyond. But we need your help. And we need the ability for you to go to your colleges and say, I've heard about this, and I think my college needs to be able to do something similar. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker?
I'm just that good.
Seeing none, thank you so much for your time.
I'm sorry, I actually do have a question, if that's all right. I know I'm on the Zoom.
There's someone on Zoom that has a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So sorry, will you go back to the podium?
I'm
Sorry,
not-
Henry.
I'm not done. Henry, jump in. We're ready.
Hi there. You said a few, this all sounds like a very great program, but it sounds like it's only going to be available on the main campus. I'm the liaison for the Salina campus. Are there any plans to move this program outwards to the other campuses, the other satellite campuses that we have under K-State? Or is
Yes.
this going to be exclusively in Manhattan for the time being?
Absolutely. We have some students that we've already communicated with that are part of Global Campus, and many of the events that we've been doing, we have been instrumental in making sure that we're providing a recorded version of these so that way they can also be included in these opportunities as well. We're hoping to have an online segment that provides additional resources for them to have access. And so we've already been posed with that question, so those expansion capabilities are definitely in consideration, not only also for the online students in Global Campus and other of our satellite campuses like Salina and some of the other locations, but we've also been even asked to be instrumental in helping to implement things in high school and also helping being instrumental in working with parents. So both sides of kind of the student scenario. So hopefully that helps to answer your question and not create more confusion.
Wonderful, thank you. Do you have an approximate timeline for the launching of this program?
It is currently in process. In fact, we've been doing quite well with it. We just have been going out. This semester has been predominantly going out and exploring what already exists and creating proof of concept. And so we're already meeting with faculty, we're meeting with administration, we're giving them some ideas of what we're currently doing and able to accomplish. But we don't want to go in and kind of micromanage what they're doing. So if they're being successful, that's great. We are a school where we tend to be slightly competitive, and so we don't want them to feel like we're trying to kind of power over them in doing so. So we have met with all the programs that have identified as wanting us to come in and visit with them and talk to them about what their current needs are, what they're currently implementing, and how we can supplement that or make some revisions or suggestions. So it's already in the works, and we're just looking to expand upon that. I kind of gave you an idea of some of those that we're working with and some that we hope to grow and expand into next semester. So that's our goal. The end of this semester is more going back, talking with those that we've already visited with, and how can we help you again next semester. And those that said at the beginning of the semester, we've already kind of developed things, can you talk to us at the end of the semester? And then the beginning of the next semester is to kind of explore some of those colleges we have yet to jump into. So I thought that was why it would be timely to come visit with you guys, so we can set you on our calendar and kind of get those things rolling for spring.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Awesome, thank you so much. Are there further questions? Seeing none, thank you for your time for real this time.
All right.
Are there any further first open period speakers? Seeing none, we will move into approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed on Tuesday along with the agenda and legislation tracking information. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Senator Atchison.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the minutes will stand approved. We will move into announcements. First, if you are interested in serving on the Elections Committee, Commissioner Saya now desperately seeks members for the Elections Committee this term. You can fill out the form in the announcement, or sent out in the agenda. They need people to fill this commission. If you are graduating, or if you know someone who is graduating or looking to get into the judicial branch or executive branch, please feel free to send this their way. 2, if you know anyone who is interested in the executive branch, The Campus Access Director and Health and Wellbeing Director positions are open. It is a pretty quick turnaround. They're due this Saturday, November 11th at 11:59. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Student Body Vice President Jessica Binkley. Her email is listed in the announcements. 3, proxies. If you're going to be absent from a student senate meeting, please fill out the link, even if you aren't sure if your absence will be excused. 4, if you'll be physically absent from student senate but would still like to attend via Zoom, please fill out the student senator Zoom request form. 5, if you want to give props to someone in student senate, fill out the Senate shout-out form, and Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will read them at the end of our meeting. 6, SGA Member of the Week is Miles Rivard. Miles worked hard this week to create a new addition to the Strategic Oversight Committee's comprehensive plan. Thank you so much for your dedication, Miles. 7 has the upcoming events calendar. You can see when all of our committees meet on there. And the quote of the week is, "Strong communities are born out of individuals being their best selves," by Leanne Betasamosake Simpson. We will now move into committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Chair Sushanik.
Just give me a couple quick seconds here. I'm getting it pulled up. So I just wanted to give a quick report tonight on our EOF usage for FY23, what was returned to reserves, and what was spent funds. Any funds that aren't spent to the different places we allocate the money for EOF does fall back into reserves. So the final amount that we have that went back into reserves from unspent funds last year is 39%. So $132,863.97 went back into reserves this year, which meant that when we were allocating our EOF dollars for FY25, we didn't have to set aside any of that money to maintain our 4% overall kept in reserves at all times, because we already had a pretty solid and full reserves. And then this is data that the committee took into account when we were making our FY25 decisions, which you will hear about later tonight, as that bill is an introduction.
Are there any questions for Chair Sushanik? Seeing none, thank you. Are there further committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Chair Long.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to have our first contract and final action, so I thought I'd give a little update on the current status of our budget. So our student service fee budget this year, FY24, sits at about $14.1 million. Our projected revenue collection through the end of FY25, so what we'll get by the end of next semester, is about $14.5 million. So the fee increase we did last year to cover our budget and to have reserves worked. So we are projected to be in the green, not by a little bit, but by a semi-comfortable margin. So that's very, very good. Previously, it was pretty common to overcollect by about $300,000 to build our reserve account, which I'll show here in a minute, and we're getting back to that point. So all is well on that front, and that's very good to see and look at. Ethan, if you go to the next slide. Looking at that as well, so SGA controls two surplus accounts. One being our general surplus, that 2.7 number there is actually sitting at 5.5, but we need to keep 2.7 in there as a requirement to pay off. If all went bad and we couldn't pay our bonds, we need to keep 1 year worth of bond payments there. That's that. So we have a usable $2.7 million balance in there. And then in our emergency debt reduction account, which is a little more liquid, honestly, for our use, we're currently sitting at $810,000. That $122,000 is what we brought in extra last year. And then that $457, I apologize, assuming it actually comes in, will be added to that as well, leaving that account with about $1.4 million in there. So starting to build up those reserves that we spent millions of dollars out of over the past couple of years to pay for COVID costs. So we're not trending back up, but we have definitely leveled out and we're improving. One more slide, Ethan. Then just a little quick look at this year so far. So our current budget, like I said, is $14.1 million. The CMG reduction, if passed tonight, will next year take off $15,000. The Lafine increase, if passed in a month from now, whenever that occurs, several weeks from now, will raise that budget again by $136,000. And then previous decreases made in past terms will have done reductions over several fiscal years. So decisions made by previous committees will reduce our budget next year by another $100,000. So all told, as if everything the committee's decided right now passes, our FY25 budget will be $14,125,917. So slight increase, but not by much. Lots of numbers, lots of math.
Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Glasscock.
Pre-COVID, what have our surplus accounts historically been at?
Oh, goodness, Chase. Let me pull up that spreadsheet for you. Chase is going to take a minute. I can get it to you in a little bit. Closer to $4 million.
Are there further questions for the speaker? Seeing none, thank you. Are there any further committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Seeing none, are there any directors that would like to give a report tonight? I have two things. The first, we are starting our search committee for our next Attorney General. It is my role as the speaker to select 3 individuals from the legislative branch to serve on the search committee for our next Attorney General. If anyone is interested, please let me know so that I can get those appointments filled. Second, some of you may know, some of you may not know, that we only have 2 Senates after this one left in the semester. We have one next week and then one after Thanksgiving break. We are hosting a legislation writing session during Senate time of Dead Week. Anyone who wants to work on any Senate projects that have been on the back burner or want to just come and hang out and work on schoolwork are more than welcome to come. We're going to have snacks. We are opening up the space for anyone who would like to work on Senate things or non-Senate things with senators. So those are my 2 announcements. Are there any questions? Yes.
Would you be open to judicial members coming to that?
Yeah, absolutely. It is open to any members of SGA who want to work on SGA projects, want to just hang out. Yes. Are there further questions? Okay, we're now going to move into College Caucus time. Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman will explain what we are doing during caucus time.
Yeah, so you guys all should have just received a message from me that has kind of a little explanation of what you guys are going to do. Something to note, if your caucus has vacancies, Chair Blood should have already reached out to you a few days ago. So he'll have information of how you guys are going to try and work on filling your seats. And if not, there's also stuff for you guys to work on. So we'll give you guys about 15 minutes. So that's 7:41 right now. So we'll come back at 7:56.
Yes. Back at 7:56.
What are you doing?
Marcus, who was like, here's just been a PhD student forever.
I can't believe he came up with this. Drew,
Works at
and I'm the
HRC.
caucus.
Oh, sorry, sorry, you did that.
I'm a little extra back to development. So, that's regard. But also, Creighton drew out.
I think English department.
They all teach 3 classes a week, so that right now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then. What?
I mean, I come to the.
All man does is work. I'm trying to get him to like go out and do things.
Yeah.
A friend of mine.
It's back there. You know.
I know I work for Beaver, but I had to take time to like go out Beaver.
I know.
He's not that he doesn't, but like, so right now it's getting to like a fever pitch. I'm like, you should be in your office every once in a while.
Yeah, both freshmen?
How you doing, sir?
What are we supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
It was,
We had
you're
ratings.
on those days in college, which we don't have. Update your caucus on
I'm
the
guessing if Brian reached
status
out,
of
you reached
anything
out
we're
to.
doing, which the status of anything we're doing is that
I know we
we're gonna pass on permanent legislation, right?
Vacancies?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Wow. Oh, we 2 openings.
I'm surprised I didn't get a flyer.
Gabriel. Lighter.
Slip right in the spot. Really?
It's
true. So we're going to friend,
Okay.
and then all 3 of you are.
You met your best friend in the world and tell us that person.
You guys have a goal of what you want to do before it's
Okay, well, think about your best friend in the world in college.
Well, no, it's 76.
I guess that's
The term.
not a source of plenty of time.
Like more than that, I think.
We literally did it yesterday.
We're moving the dean.
With Dr. Petrescu, yeah. It's so hard because all Marcus, the only time Marcus is free.
Well, Drew and I met with the dean.
At student programs.
I thought we were really supposed to be in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
You shouldn't have gotten like 1 person to vote for you and you just put it on the.
No, I mean, other than like
But
talking
her name was
to
like
Andrew
show up in
wanted
the
to sponsor
HHS.
his bill. One of the sustainability ones.
Even if I was already running.
I
I sponsored the
Nice.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure.
They were like,
I'm not sure.
Or maybe it filters them out.
Listen, I
Maybe it lets you vote for them, but it does something.
Join SGA.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I see that. Where you guys from? Like where?
That didn't get
Well, it didn't automatically reject it. I mean, this is where I reach out to like first years. And stuff. Maybe like, I think there's a first year in my program. But I think she'll take my seat when I leave. Right?
Yeah.
Technically, it is, but it's.
We can have, next semester, there's some current students who are graduating and undergraduate students, and I'm sure that we can find some.
No, I think that's right.
I don't know, talking about it, kind of like that.
I don't think so.
I think it's kind of like northeast.
She said, I don't know directions.
Definitely not you, but the grad.
Definitely not
It's the Student Government Association offices and also.
You're just making shit up.
They're like, what do you think about this? I'm like, well, I can't
They're
talk
being
about it at work.
Saturday,
Probably.
Yeah, I thought so.
Well, it's so different.
And Haysville is like directly south.
Would we be able to detect the library? Well, maybe current students that can be graduating next year. They would be elected.
I don't think.
Because that makes it really difficult.
Where are you from?
Yes, sir.
Now you have to basically get a master's student or a PhD student.
When I say Kansas City, I mean 45 minutes.
Well, and you want to get them before they start classes.
Boo.
Yeah.
So we get them to commit before they understand.
Like how
How much it's just
When you're
annoying.
like a senior with like 4 credit hours.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the fun of it of grad school. So.
Yeah. I not gonna go to the bar next year. It's no big deal. Okay.
Why
Let me tell you
were
something.
you
I'm
in-
not going either way.
Why are you at that one, but Nick was at that one?
If you do, you go like And you don't go on a Thursday night.
Did you, were you in a program, or is that just the one? That was the one that Nick was supposed to, okay. And also, it was how he started it.
West opened our sophomore year.
You got the best, you got, I like that.
And they were like, from you guys can go.
No, I'm actually not.
He was though, or is.
What?
Forever.
However.
You always are.
They always tell us it's a life.
I did.
And then they were
No
like.
marriage.
But it's like marriage.
Do they make you swear the oath at the end that you have to donate for the rest of your life? They made us do that, where they were like, in order to go online, you have to like swear this thing to be a good person.
They kind of make you.
They're kind of
Yeah,
guys.
when you get married, you
really have.
Yeah.
Say again?
They kind of make you do that when you get married.
I have got contact.
No.
This is on your mind tonight.
I'm just
As
saying.
far as I know, he doesn't get like the prospect.
Oh, this is not for.
No, this is my outline
I was about to
for.
say, that's a lot to type in the like 5 minutes.
No, this is my outline for my master's paper.
Did I tell you about the situation where?
You don't have any more BKBs.
Oh yeah, I did. They're just covering.
Yeah, some of us want.
Dude, yes,
Okay.
I usually would like a couple more. I love that stuff.
Dude, do you know how I saw this one?
I asked the question.
Did you give him one?
No. He was. I went to the office and he was chilling there.
In the CSI office?
Yes. When I saw him walking out of the office.
Then you know they're all on. When I hear the random names of high school, like this would mean anything. But hearing Olathe.
High school never ends, neither does college. It's like going to the fraternity house. Oh, wow.
He's like probably crying in my first.
So we reached out to Holly.
Uh,
Holly then reached out to me.
I'm in Wichita right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Doing what?
Probably
And
some.
that tied into inviting Evan.
He's been in
I said
Wichita.
that.
Resident application.
The other day.
Oh,
Or
I know what
prior,
it is.
and I was like, oh, this is sorry.
Through college.
They were like, why didn't you like the corners? And I was like, did you like it?
Show
And
like
they
what
were like,
resources we have.
no.
The process for things. He was like very like. Everything we were doing. Student led organization.
Yeah, she missed us today.
It turned out.
Yeah, see,
No, I didn't have to. Your FBA student?
We should have hers, really.
And they actually
Well, it's
lived
like
together, but coincidentally.
I'm after.
Oh, okay, it's like a, so.
I should too. I was like, well,
Yeah.
but you went to.
That's okay. That all
I
works
was
out.
just like,
Yeah.
met, and we were like,
She's too smart.
she
knows.
Yeah.
Zero time commitment. It's
When you
easy
were
and fun. You
like
can help
two,
yourself. She knows.
she's like fresh out of 0 years old.
I said you're going to football. It's like,
They're like, look at this freaking 2-year-old that has the same last name. Better
Sorry, I needed water.
We're having important conversations.
Do you guys think you look alike? If you say yes. No, I said
Listen, we could try to get Parker, but he's gonna say no.
Thursday night, I go to San Diego. You really haven't quit that yet? Oh my God, dog. Like, you wanna go with me? You get
It's fine.
Absolutely.
She's there, but she's not there.
I remember working for her like the summer before.
That is not true.
I was like a lawyer, but
Take the beer away.
get some of those there. Get really
I feel like you guys.
I never know. And then I'll have to shut it.
Oh, yeah.
Like this sounds
It's not really one of-
there.
I don't need this.
I'm actually just like telling you.
Yeah, that's true.
I still have it.
Where you working on that?
Because of.
Like I can see
You guys
it in my
in the
We're
area.
gonna be here for a
But
long
then
time.
I will.
So I need some.
Are we really?
I know.
Big Hungarians.
Get a whole
No,
bunch
but
of
like
things.
as a body, we will see.
Oh,
Here's a
Jamie,
weird situation.
I just want you to talk to about the MK program.
Okay, I'm happy to talk to
My
you.
mentee is a freshman in poli sci.
I'll talk. I was a freshman in poli sci at one point, so.
I've been
Dude, he's like, I know all of that.
Second thing.
Or
I hope you know what you are.
Well, I did the accelerated thing, and so I started taking grad classes. Somehow it's going to take me 3 years, even though I was supposed to do it faster. But they only offer you have to take the capstone
Maybe I
course that's
don't.
only available
We
this
don't
spring.
really look
So I
like
took it a semester.
No,
early.
no,
Trying to get mine, by the way. Just because increased to
No, no.
No, I see it. My little world.
We're defining it as like
He does not.
candidate for football for 4 years. You're done this spring now.
That is
When do you guys
actually-
have it here?
That is, so
We're
we
losing every
applied for
Saturday.
grad school
Except
except
Well,
Marcus.
Marcus is gonna be here forever. God bless Marcus.
Marcus would be graduating next year. So, grad school. Just like you.
You're listening to her.
We're gonna do it, because it.
I mean, that's what I call like 5th year.
Also, Brady, I'm gonna be late. My class is Yeah, I was
Get out of my chicken.
We're still caucusing!
I'm sorry that my bar's caucus more makes me on
Well, and you don't have to take the camera. Cambridge's got a great program too. Charity is interesting to know. Some schools don't require it.
Hey guys, it's 7:56, if you could find your seats.
Hey, caucus leaders, really quick, you should have gotten an email from me a few minutes ago. Please make sure that you fill out whatever you guys talked about during your time before you leave tonight. If you have troubles getting it open, email me and I'll help you get it open. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Seeing as we have finished college caucus time, we are moving into final action. First, we have Bill 232433. Senator Saya.
I move to refer Bill 33 and 34 to the Senate Executive.
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded to refer bills 33 and 34 to the Senate Executive Committee rather than considering it here on the floor. It was moved and seconded. Seeing no objections, we will go ahead and vote on this motion. It is debatable. You have first rights to debate, Senator Sayo.
All right, so if you were here last week, we sent these bills to 2 different committees. The Senate Operations Committee did not want to make any changes. The Senate Executive Committee would like to make changes. So let's not have 14 bills floating around out there. Send it to exec, get it all ironed out. That's it.
Seeing as that was debate in positive on the motion to refer, is there any debate in the negative? Is there any further debate in the positive? Is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will go into a hand vote on whether or not to refer this to the Senate Executive Committee. All those in favor, raise your placards now. Proxies raised 2. All opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. We are going to refer bills 33 and 34 to the Senate Executive Committee. Moving on to Bill 232435. Chair Broughton.
I move to table this for a week.
Okay, so we have moved to table this for a week. Is there a second?
Second.
Objection. Okay, so it has been moved, seconded, and objected to table this for a week. Is that debatable?
We call for debate?
The motion to postpone is debatable. So Chair Broughton, you have first rights to debate. You could just withdraw your motion if you wanted to change it.
I withdraw my motion.
Does the second give permission to withdraw?
Yeah.
Chair Lynn.
I move to postpone this bill for 3 weeks.
Second.
Can we say the date on that?
Yeah, until
November 30th?
November,
Yeah, 2 weeks we are in.
in Thanksgiving break on the 23rd. So I move to postpone it until November 30th.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to postpone the bill until November 30th. Chair Lynn, you have first rights to debate.
Yeah. How dare you?
We were wanting to make some changes on this bill after it got referred back to the DEIB committee. However, we want to double check on those changes with the members of the Intercultural Leadership Council before we go through with actually putting them in the legislation. This gives us enough time to meet with the Intercultural Leadership Council at our next meeting to talk about these changes before we actually get it back in Senate to be voted on.
Thank you. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there debate in the negative? Is there further debate in the positive? Yes. Director Tifchi.
I don't have my thing. Pretty much just add on Peyton. As you guys know, ILC is a separate committee in SGA, not like a Senate committee, but like I said, I just really want, as co-chair, Caleb and I really want to see what the committee has to say on the change. I don't foresee any problems with that, but like I said, the whole purpose of ILC is to increase communication between SGA and different corners of campus. So if we're making changes without telling them, that really goes against the whole purpose of the committee. So in order to address this, table it for 3 weeks after Thanksgiving. And then once we meet with the committee, we can really just solidify everything.
Thank you for that debate in the positive. Is there any debate in the negative? Is there any further, or is there any debate in the further debate in the positive? Is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will move into a hand vote on the motion to postpone. All those in favor of postponing until the 30th, raise your placards now. Proxies raised 2. All opposed, same sign. That will pass. We will now move on to Bill 232436. Will the author please come forward? Have any changes been made?
The bill number was added to the end. That's it.
No substantive change. Like I said, no changes have been made. Looking at it, the committee spent about 12 hours or so looking at this, these financial numbers and these impacts, and this is the conclusion they've come to. This is the second revision of these, in all honesty, and this is what's been presented to the collegiate's director as well, what's been discussed with them. A lot of work and a lot of effort has gone into it. I think the reasons are fairly self-explanatory, so I won't lay them out again. Please vote yes.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there any debate in the negative? Is there any further debate in the positive? And is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will go into a roll call vote.
Atchison.
Yes.
Bellamy.
Yes.
Biggs. Yes or no? Or abstain? Blood.
Yes, by proxy.
Broughton.
Yes.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Koch.
Yes.
Compton.
Yes.
Cuesta.
Yes.
Cup.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Drotz.
Yes.
Dunce.
Yes, by proxy.
Fogel.
Yes.
Glasscock.
Yes.
Griffith.
Yes.
Haynes.
Yes.
Hartzell.
Yes, by proxy.
Heatherman.
Yes.
Hoffmans.
Yes.
Hulse.
Yes.
Hunley.
Yes.
Jacobson.
Yes.
Kirchin.
Yes.
Yes,
Kidd.
by proxy.
Kermer.
Yes.
Kinsey. Lilly.
Yes, by proxy.
Long.
Yes.
Lynn.
Yes.
Mason.
Yes.
Melcher.
Yes.
Moore.
Sure.
O'Malley.
Yes.
Oury. Kelton.
Yes, by proxy.
Peterson.
Yes, by proxy.
Porter.
Yes.
Rios.
Yes, by proxy.
Rivard.
Yes.
Rodriguez Melendez.
Yes.
Rogers. Syed Carly.
Yes.
Syed Nick.
Yes.
Salmon.
Yes, by proxy.
Streetman.
Yes.
Strunk.
Yes.
Sushanik.
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Winger.
Aye.
Wolf.
Yes, and yes by proxy for Kinsey.
All right, and Zatko.
Yes.
All right. Bill 232436 will pass on a vote of 49 to 0 to 1.
Okay, we will move on to Bill 232437. Will the author please come forward? Have any changes been made?
No, they have not.
You have first rights to debate.
Maybe. Okay, yeah, I think that when it comes to this allocation, I think that the committee did a really good job determining the amounts that each of these organizations would receive. The committee took a kind of holistic approach when examining different organizations to see kind of what their greatest need was when they came to us. I guess that's 2 Sundays ago now. So I think that we did a good job, and I would encourage you to vote for the bill. Thank you.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there debate in the negative? Is there further debate in the positive? Is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will move into a roll call vote.
Atchison. Bellamy.
Yes.
Biggs.
Yes.
Blood.
Yes, by proxy.
Broughton.
Yes.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Koch.
Yes.
Compton.
Yes.
Cuesta.
Yes.
Cup.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Drotz.
Yes.
Dunce.
Yes by proxy.
Fogel.
Yes.
Glasscock.
Yes.
Griffith.
Aye aye.
Haynes.
Yes.
Hartzell. Heatherman, Hoffmans,
Yes.
Hulse,
Yes.
Hunley,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Kirchin,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes, by proxy.
Kermer,
Yes.
Kinsey,
Yes, by proxy.
Lilly,
Yes, by proxy.
Long,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Mason,
Yes.
Melcher,
Yes.
Moore, O'Malley,
Yes.
Oury, Pelton,
Yes, by proxy.
Peterson,
Yes, by proxy.
Porter,
Yes.
Rios, Rivard,
Yes.
Rodriguez Melendez,
Yes.
Rogers,
Yes, by proxy.
Syed Carly,
Yes.
Syed Nick,
Yes.
Salmon,
Yes by proxy.
Streetman,
Yes.
Strunk,
Yes.
Sushanik,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Winger,
Yes.
Wolf,
Yes.
and Zacco.
Yes.
Bill 232437 will pass on a vote of 48 to 0 to 0.
Okay, we will move on to Resolution 232441. Will the author please come forward? Have any changes been made?
Yes. So in section 2, we changed what previously read that KSU-SGA recommends the College of Education create a tuition waiver for student teachers. It's changed to now read KSU-SGA recommends that the KSU College of Education consider one or more of the following options: implement a KSU College of Education per credit hour fee, and prioritize fundraising through the KSU Foundation for Student Teaching Scholarship Funds. And then the wording in section 1 also changed, saying that KSU-SGA recommends that the College of Education work towards a solution to minimize or eliminate the tuition costs for the student teaching semester.
Awesome, you have first rights to debate.
Okay. So this piece of legislation came about because of a conversation that the College of Education Caucus had with our dean a little over a month ago now. We were talking about some of the frustrations as education students, particularly when it comes to the student teaching aspect of our time in college. The average teacher typically works about 53 hours a week, so that is also about the workload of a student teacher, since they are doing the job of a full-time teacher while they're doing their student teaching, essentially. So 53 hours a week not only is much more than the typical workload of someone who is just in college, but on top of that, they are not getting paid for those 53 hours a week that they're working, and having to pay K-State for 12 credit hours worth of classes. All of that combined means that student teachers often aren't able to get jobs outside of their student teaching. In fact, colleges actively dissuade you from getting any sort of job or being a part of anything or being involved on campus at all during your student teaching, because it is such a large time commitment. So when you take all of those things into consideration, this becomes a really, really big financial burden for a lot of people. And it really harms a lot of students while they're trying to make ends meet during this semester, with basically no income and everything coming out of their pockets. So that was a frustration that we have had, and that numerous other people in our colleges have had over the years. So we put together this piece of legislation to really urge the College of Education to do what they can to minimize those cost burdens on students who are going through this process. Because education is already a field that we have a really hard time getting people to actually be interested in, making some of these changes to get students to retain themselves and be able to have some of that financial burden that's placed on them alleviated by the college would be really impactful for a lot of people. So for all those reasons, I definitely urge you to vote yes on this legislation.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there a debate in the negative?
I have a point of information.
Yes.
Can we get, I think we talked about this last week, but Dr. Charles Tabor's last name is still spelled incorrectly. Can we get it updated to have his full title, Executive University Provost and Executive Vice President, Dr. Charles Tabor?
Also, Tabor is ER.
Yep, he mentioned that. Is there any debate in the negative on this piece of legislation? Is there further debate in the positive? Is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we'll move into a hand vote on Resolution 41. All those in favor, please raise your placards now. Proxies raised 2. All opposed, same sign. That resolution will pass. Next, we move on to Resolution 232443. Will the author please come forward? Have any changes been made?
No.
You have first rights to debate.
Yeah, so this is just throwing the ball into recreational services court instead of forcing student allocations to pay for a new goal, especially when that is a piece of equipment that is utilized by more than just men's and women's club soccer.
Thank you. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there debate in the negative?
Point of information.
Yes.
I think last week we decided to scratch Dr. Linton off the
We took
section
Linton
two.
off of there.
That's it.
Is there further debate in the positive? And is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will move into a hand vote on Resolution 43. All those in favor, please raise your placards now. Proxies raised 2. All opposed, same sign. That resolution will pass. Now that we have exhausted final action, we will move into introduction of legislation. First up, we have introduction of allocations. Is there a motion to consider the allocations? Cox Sitter Porter.
I move to consider the allocations.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to consider the allocations. There is Bill 38, the fiscal year 24 student allocation to on-the-spot improv. Bill 39 is the allocation to the American Nuclear Society. Bill 40 is the student allocation to the Solar Club. And Bill 41 is also an allocation to the Solar Club. We will now move into introduction of legislation with Resolution 232444, the fiscal year 2025 Educational Opportunity Fund allocation. Is there a motion to consider? Caucus Leader Porter.
I move to consider Resolution 44.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
Could I get a motion to summarize so that I don't have to read all the numbers, but I'll read the whereas clauses?
Senator Moore.
I move to allow the speaker to summarize.
Second. Objection.
It has been moved, seconded, and objected. So this will take a majority vote to allow the author to summarize. Vote yes if you would like to allow that, and vote no if you would prefer that the author read the bill in its entirety. All those in favor of the motion to summarize, please raise your placards now. Proxies raised 2. All opposed, same sign. That motion will pass.
Okay, this is our EOF recommendation from the Tuition Enhancements Committee for FY25. Whereas the Tuition Enhancements Committee, TEC, allocates $64,460 in Educational Opportunity Funds, Inc. EOF, for academic scholarship and fellowship, need-based grants, community service programs, and campus service programs. Whereas Tech considered 32 proposals for FY25 funding, whereas all groups were provided ample opportunity to submit their requests for FY25 EOF funding, whereas all groups were given the opportunity to present their application to Tech, whereas the EOF committee evaluated proposals utilizing the guidelines from the SGA bylaws. Preference shall be given to applications using the following criteria: A, continue of existing programs; B, programs that have a definite, predictable outcome; C, programs that affect a large number of students; D, programs that have no other source of funding. Whereas Tech-funded proposals utilizing the following criteria from SGA bylaws: scholarships are funded at $1,000 each, graduate positions are funded at the following: 9-month positions are funded at $9,890 each, and 12-month positions are funded at $12,890. And whereas the following abbreviations for these proposals shall be used. I'm not going to go through all the abbreviations, but if you have a question about a specific abbreviation, please refer to that whereas clause or ask. And then if we scroll down, we can see that we allocated the $465,460, which is generally the cap that Tech aims for, but we were requested $592,280, which is pretty standard that we will receive requests much larger than what we have to allocate.
Awesome. Are there any questions for Chair Suchanek? Senator Glasscock.
Yeah, could you quickly discuss the reasoning for the cut to childcare subsidy funding?
The committee's choice to cut childcare funding to that amount, it was cut down to $49,570, is because over the past 5 fiscal years that the committee was able to review, starting in, I believe, FY19 up through FY23, what we have complete data for, they have not spent a majority of their money. I can pull up exact data right now. As of FY23, they returned 90% of the money that we allocated back to reserves. For FY22, they sent they've sent about 50% of the money that we allocated back to reserves starting in FY19. They allege that is because of COVID concerns and staffing shortages, not because of a lack of need. But the committee's consensus was if that money was just going to get allocated to them every year and then simply returned to reserves, we would rather have it utilized within the fiscal year than simply bolstering up our reserve accounts.
Are there further questions for Chair Suchanek? Joseph.
So would you still consider DMSA on there, being that that no longer exists?
I'm not sure, because that was the name that came forward on the application at the time, I believe. I can double check that. That is definitely a good point to bring up in a conversation to have over the next week before this is in final action.
Awesome. Are there further questions for the author? Seeing none, thank you. We will now move on to Resolution 232445. Will the author please come forward? Oh, is there a motion to consider?
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
All right, Resolution 45. Whereas in September 2022, Kansas State University announced plans to demolish Edwards Hall. Whereas Edwards Hall, built in 1967, was most recently used by campus police and other administrative units until vacated for demolition. Whereas KSU intends to use the footprint of Edwards Hall to create additional parking. Whereas the primary justification cited for demolition was a need to reduce campus maintenance backlogs, of which Edwards Hall constitutes $9.4 million. Whereas parking in this location will not alleviate parking demand on the central campus. Whereas Edwards Hall is less than a mile from thousands of parking stalls that surround the K-State Athletics Complex with no fare ATA bus service to the central campus. Whereas parking is expensive to maintain, with total replacement necessary every 20 to 30 years, priced at several $1,000s per stall. Whereas KSU Parking Services already faces significant pressure to maintain its assets, and whereas construction of a parking lot will replace Edwards Hall with a new maintenance burden that does not serve a critical need for KSU. Be it resolved that the Kansas State University Student Governing Association supports the demolition of Edwards Hall. Section 2, KSU SGA does not support the replacement of Edwards Hall with additional parking. Section 3, KSU SGA believes that the replacement of Edwards Hall, in whatever form it may take, should be dedicated to former KSU Director of Housing, A. Thornton Edwards. And Section 4, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to Director of Transportation and Parking Services, Jeff Barnes, Associate Vice President for Facilities, Casey Lauer, Vice President of Administration and Finance, Ethan Erickson, and University President, Dr. Richard H. Linden.
Are there questions for the author?
I have a correction.
Yes.
It should be Vice President for Administration and Finance.
Are there further questions or corrections? Cox Leader Porter.
Yeah, where is Edwards?
Thank you so much, Evan. Ethan, do you have the functionality to pull up Google Maps?
I can.
Okay, it's right across from Trotter, but this might be easier.
It's right across from the Vet College.
Behind the tennis courts. Why are you laughing? Yeah, see?
Can you zoom out just a bit, Ethan?
It's that H-shaped
That's where it is.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Senator Zacko.
Who is A. Thornton Edwards and why is he significant in this decision process?
So, former Director of Housing,
What is he now?
past. I don't know.
I have a point of information.
I'm gonna let the people who work at the foundation answer that.
So Peyton and I call K-State donors for our job. Peyton called a woman that is the granddaughter, daughter. You weren't answering it.
That wasn't the question that was asked. A. Thornton Edwards was the first director of housing and dining services. But the reason for that being significant, the one section, was because I spoke to his granddaughter on the phone, or his daughter on the phone, at the foundation, and she expressed a lot of frustration that her dad's building was being torn down and replaced with a parking lot. She was very upset about that.
Anna Heatherman has her hand raised.
Follow-up granted.
Okay, I would like to say I read that as decided by this person of what was going to be built. Dedicated makes more sense. I did not know that he passed away. Continue.
Cox Leader Atchison.
So, you said that, like, in the bill, it says formerly the police department was in there. So, what goes on in there now?
I think they moved everything out so that they can demolish the building.
Oh, okay.
Senator Heatherman.
Are the authors supportive of the building being demolished and converted to green space?
I personally would be in support of that. I didn't want to make a claim about what should go there necessarily. But yes.
Senator Griffith. Senator Glasscock.
Was Parking Services consulted about how much of a difference demolishing and replacing Edwards Hall with parking makes?
I can't imagine that this decision was made without their understanding and consent. So, yes.
Senator Moore.
Kind of a point of information on that. The building hasn't been demolished yet because it's got asbestos, and they're pricing to get it removed. Currently accepting bids on it. That's why it's still there, but it is empty, and has been for a while. Working for parking services, though, have you talked to the vet college about how that would impact them? Because I know they have a lot of students that park there on the daily, and it's usually a full parking lot there.
Well, no, I have not spoken to the vet college, but this isn't. Yeah, I won't comment on that or speculate.
Director Talbert.
So we know that they're wanting to put parking there, but do we know what kind of parking? Like, is that in the plan as well? Like, is this going to be meant for like specific people or students?
Add illumination on that, on the parking. So Jardine residents, that east side is dense. The Vet Med across the street, a lot of those folks at Vet Med cross and use Edwards parking currently. InBath has an interest in some parking as well. So sort of a mixed use for the students and the faculty staff that reside in that part of campus. So if you go there, on a given day, there's probably 100 Vet Med faculty and staff and students parking in Edwards lot now. And this would be in addition to that space, and so it's kind of a partnership in that neighborhood.
Caucus Leader Kermer.
Do you think we could add in the legislation that perspective that Peyton mentioned about Edward's family being frustrated with turning into a parking lot?
I think we can talk about a reasonable way to phrase that in more detail in committee.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, thank you. We will now move on to Resolution 2324-46. Is there a motion to consider? Senator Glasscock.
I move to consider Resolution 46.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward? Senator Koch.
I move to allow the author to summarize. Second. Objection.
Object.
It has been moved, seconded, and objected to allow the author to summarize. All those in favor, please raise your placards now. All opposed, same sign. Proxies raised 2. Ooh.
I went for division. Call for division.
Okay. Division, so if you are in favor of allowing the author to summarize, please raise your placard now. Ooh. Well, yeah, then it's gonna, you may summarize.
Cool. All right, I'm still going to read the whereas clauses, but section 2 is just a whole bunch of names and their moms, so I'll explain those. All right. Authors, Andrew Navarre. Sponsors, Sophia Cole, Brandon Kermer, John Owery, Chase Glasscock, Jacob Hoffman, Marcus Kidd, Paige Vogelmore, Jack O'Malley, Bentley Talbert, Joylyn Griffith, Samantha Sushanik, Dakota Broughton, Brady Kappelman, Anna Koch, Hattie Polson. Whereas the Kansas State University, KSU, strives to uphold the value of stewardship as a land-grant university, including using our resources responsibly to leave a positive, lasting legacy. Whereas the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KCUSGA, is a representative of its student body's interests by advocating for student needs, promoting campus initiatives, and representing their interests through thoughtful recommendations to upper administration. Whereas the KSU Campus Strategic Plan outlined the ideas and imperatives that will be referred towards the creation of a campus master plan. Whereas in recognizing the pivotal role of environmental sustainability, KSU SGA advocates for its integration into higher education and its institutions' practices, paving the way for a greener future, not just for our university, but for the entire community. Whereas this initiative has received support from deans or faculty from the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm just making sure I'm reading that right. Okay, cool. Gotcha. And/or from the College of Arts and Sciences, the Carl R. Ice College of Engineering, the College of Agriculture, the College of Education, the College of Health and Human Sciences, the College of Architecture, Planning and Design, and the Staley School of Leadership Studies. of leadership, whereas this initiative has also received support from members of upper administration, most notably Provost and Executive Vice President Dr. Charles Tabor and Vice President of Administration and Finance Ethan Erickson. Whereas this initiative has also received support from Housing and Dining Services, the Department of Environment, Health and Safety, and the Pollution Prevention Institute. Whereas this initiative has also received support from student organizations such as the Ecology Club, Students for Environmental Action, and Rotaract. Whereas over the course of 3 weeks, a KSU environmental sustainability petition was distributed to students through tabling and social media, resulting in over 600, now 630, student signatures. Whereas this petition called for KSU to take immediate action, creating an environmental sustainability framework as a part of the master plan. Whereas this petition emphasized the importance of furthering educational opportunities regarding sustainability, environmental stewardship, and reducing KSU's carbon footprint. Whereas according to the Princeton Review, 66% of students nationwide consider a college's dedication to environmental sustainability a crucial factor in influencing their decision to apply. Whereas, the creation of a framework regarding environmental sustainability includes the reduction of energy usage within buildings, waste reduction, carbon emission reduction, sustainable renovating practices, increased investment into sustainable energy sources, promoting native landscape around campus, managing water runoff, supporting sustainable transportation systems, implementing and sustaining food waste composting initiatives, creating and maintaining water retention systems, creating and maintaining geothermal exchange systems, adopting sustainable purchasing policies, creating more awareness around individual sustainability practices, creating more awareness around the university's sustainability practices, creating and maintaining educational programs within applicable colleges about environmental sustainability as it relates to their fields, in addition to any other environmental sustainability practice or policy not listed. Whereas creating interdisciplinary sustainability programs and advocating for sustainable practices will not only benefit students, prospective students, and the lives of the KSU community, but will also reduce university monetary expenditures. Whereas students' voices should be heard by KSU upper administration, especially when it is in regard to their university and its future planning in order to work together as one K-State. Be resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association strongly recommends the inclusion and focus on environmental sustainability in the KSU campus master plan across every entity of KSU. Thank you all for bearing with me. Okay, so just to explain who these people are, all the way from Executive Director of Environmental Health and Safety, if you were to move all the way down to Assistant Vice President of Planning, Design, and Construction, Lisa Johnson. These are the people who pretty much manage facilities. These are the people that where all the practices are going to be coming out of. And then we have underneath that just the main people who are involved with other entities. We have student well-being, which is Lafine, recreational services, Unit Executive Director Corey Williamson, and then Housing and Dining Dr. Derek Jackson. Shout out to Derek Jackson. And then after that, we have a bunch of deans here, pretty much every dean that you can even think of. And then we have Faculty Senate President. We have Tim DeNoble, who is making the next master plan. And then after that is just a bunch of upper administration folks that this should be sent to because they're going to be involved in the creation of the master plan. And then at the end, Dr. Richard H. Linton. Woo! Okay, I'm done.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Zacko.
Lines 90 and 91, can the punctuation be altered or changed to differentiate between College of Arts and Sciences and College of Business Administration? So I think there's some wording / punctuation that needs revised. At least on the copy that I'm looking at that I got.
That's completely different than the one that's listed.
Yeah. So just to answer that, I sent in a new version, and it wasn't actually in the agenda, but that's the new version. So that's resolved. So thank you.
The names on the sponsors are out of alphabetical order, but I'll fix that.
Appreciate that. Anyone else want to sponsor too? Hit me up.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Chair Long.
When we say that Provost Tabor has expressed support, what does that mean?
That means that I wrote to him. I could go through all. The important part is I wrote him an email saying, hey, are you in support of this? I sent him the resolution. He said yes. He said it's fine. Same thing with Ethan Erickson as well. Awaiting Casey Lauer's response. Thank you.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, thank you. We will now move on to Resolution 23-24-47. Is there a motion to consider? Chair Questa.
I move to consider resolution 47.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
All right, Resolution 47. Whereas Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution under the 1862 Morrill Act, has a foundational relationship to the displacement of Native Americans. Whereas the lands of many Native nations used for trade, gathering, and healing now serve as tax bases to support KSU. Whereas the KSU Student Governing Association, through a land acknowledgement, recognizes that KSU exists on land stolen from the Kaw people. Whereas KSU SGA pledges to support opportunities for Native American students, faculty, and staff. Whereas in 2023, the Kansas legislature approved a provision granting in-state status to students enrolled in tribes with historical connections to Kansas. Whereas peer institutions, including Oregon State University, have eliminated or reduced the tuition assessed to students enrolled in federally recognized tribes. Whereas Kansas institutions, including Emporia State University, have long-term plans to reduce or eliminate tuition assessed to students enrolled in federally recognized tribes. And whereas KSU, by building on action from the Kansas legislature, is empowered to set the expectation that Kansas institutions, Big 12 institutions, and land-grant institutions, number one, engage their history, number two, remove barriers from Native American students, and number three, support land acknowledgement with action. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association believes that no Native American should be charged to attend an institution that rests on continued dispossession of their land. Section 2, KSU SGA believes that KSU should offer a full cost of education scholarship for all students enrolled in federally recognized tribes. Section 3, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to co-chairs of the Indigenous Faculty and Staff Alliance, Sean Alex Redcorn and Laverne Bitsy Baldwin, Director of Student Financial Assistance, Robert Gamez, Vice Provost for Enrollment Management, Karen Goose, and University President, Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Bellamy.
Yeah, did you find any other universities that have this except for Oregon State University? I'm just curious.
None that I thought were good examples for us. I want to say that the University of California system has something. There are plenty of like smaller schools in the Northeast that do this, but Oregon State is something that the university recognizes as a partner. So I think they're a good model.
Senator Mason.
Okay. Do you have like a criteria for how you're going to be giving out the scholarship? So I'm assuming that it's for just everyone who's like enrolled in a nationally recognized tribe. Is that correct?
That is my intention because that's how a lot of other aid programs for Native American students work.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Chair Lynn.
Do you know how many students we currently have enrolled that this would affect?
So our 2022 demographic number said that we have 60 students that self-identify as Native American. People that I've spoken to said that the actual community of Native American students is a little bit larger than that.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Senator Mason.
Okay, sorry. I guess what I was getting at is that do you believe that somebody who's like a 32nd Native American should also be getting a full ride scholarship? Because in that regard, I would also be getting a scholarship, but I'm only like 10%.
I don't really want to pass an opinion on that distinction.
Senator West.
There are some tribes that aren't federally recognized. Would members of those tribes still be able to get this?
Well, this doesn't, set a policy in stone. I think that this should be a signal of our commitment towards the people that design aid packages like that. Personally, I do believe that those students should receive this aid, but I'm trying to be cognizant of the way that these policies tend to be formulated.
Are there further questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, thank you. Seeing as we have exhausted introduction of legislation, we will move into second open period. Are there any second open period speakers tonight? Senator Zacko.
Hi, everybody. During caucus time, the College of Business was talking about this. Oh my gosh, sorry. The College of Business was talking about this for doing SGA presentations in clubs. We're looking for a few more people to join us on Tuesday, so that's the 14th. At 7:30 p.m. to help present to Silver Key, which is the sophomore honorary. We want more than just College of Business presenters since it is a multi-college organization. So please let me know if you would like to help out with that. We'd love to have lots of different colleges represented.
Do you stand for questions?
Yes.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Are there further second open period speakers? Chair Long.
We're getting more things to do in Senate, more legislation. Great. And now occasionally, we're motioning to summarize things. Also good, if used reasonably. But when it happens right now, some people groan and some object, and there's lots of contention about it. And if you watched me, I voted for it once tonight, voted against it once tonight, and yada yada and change. So why do we motion to summarize things from an old man's perspective when the thing being summarized adds nothing new to the matter being discussed or does not change any of the reference to it? So moving to summarize EUF allocation so Sam doesn't have to read 30 lines of numbers. No one's going to gain or lose understanding from hearing the numbers read out loud and hearing all the acronyms read off, compared to summarizing whereas clauses. More recently, we've been great about summarizing but still reading whereas clauses because those matter. The things we write should matter. If it doesn't matter, why are we writing it? And when it comes to names, I would really hope that if we took the time to make this to say, we want you to read this, that we can also take the time to read their name out loud. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Are there further second open period speakers tonight? Seeing none, we'll move into Senate shoutouts.
Right. Shout out to Miles. We love you all, and I hope this embarrasses you a little bit. Shout out to Jack O'Malley for being Jack O'Malley and turning down the heat. Shout out to Chase for asking the hard questions. Shout out to the return of Ag Econ Jacob. Shout out to almost forgetting to vote because you're watching Bryce watch bass fishing. Shout out to Asbestos. Legends never die. Shout out to Andrew for not being able to say composting. Shout out to the whole novula consisting only of names on Resolution 46. Shout out to Speaker Pro Tem Kappelman for having to email all the people on Andrew's bill. And shout out to Andrew Navarro and sponsors for arguably the best resolution recently. Way to put in the work with stakeholders before introducing. That's all we got.
Okay, we will now move into reference of legislation. Bills 38, 39, 40, and 41 will go to the Allocations Committee. Resolution 44 will go to the Tuition Enhancements Committee. Resolutions 45 and 46 will go to the Strategic Oversight Committee. And Resolution 47 will go to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee. We will now move into second roll call.
Atchison.
Here.
Bellamy. Biggs.
Here.
Broughton. Bruckner.
Here.
Cope.
Here.
Compton.
Here.
Cuesta.
Here.
Cup.
Here.
Dennis.
Here.
Trotz.
Here.
Fogel.
Here.
Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Here.
Haynes.
Here.
Heatherman.
Here.
Hoffmans.
Here.
Hulse.
Here.
Hundley.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Kirchin.
Here.
Kermer.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Mason. Melcher.
Here.
Moore.
Yep.
O'Malley.
Be quiet while he's doing roll.
Oury. Porter.
Here.
Rivard.
Here.
Rodriguez Melendez. Syed Carly.
Here.
Syed Nick.
Here.
Streetman.
Here.
Strunk. Sushanik.
Here.
West.
Here.
Winger.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
And Zacko.
Here also Duncan's here by proxy.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Yeah.
No.
Chair Cuesta.
I move to adjourn until the same time and place next week.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Have a good night, everybody.
Yes, you do.